Covering stories that matter to you in your neighborhood. A sea turtle rescue takes place on the Port Aransas jetties. Why it's more common for you to find a hurt turtle this time of year. And recovery efforts continue in Central Texas. Plus, this year's Cattlemen's Roundup in Jim Wells County hopes to raise thousands for sick children at Driscoll Children's Hospital. Your KRIS 6 News at 5 starts right now. Well, good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Clara Benitez Cortez. We start with tragic news out of Kingsville. The Kingsville Police Department is investigating the discovery of a newborn baby girl found in a Walmart trash can. According to police, employees tried to save the infant, but she was declared dead at a local hospital. Police have identified the 17-year-old mother and have charged her father, Jerry Lee Martinez, with abandoning, endangering a child, criminal negligence, for being involved in the incident. Surveillance footage showed the mother entering the bathroom where she spent 40 minutes before exiting and leaving in a vehicle. Neighborhood News reporter Stephanie Molina spoke with the detective on the case.
The female suspect did arrive back on scene that night, so we did make contact with her. She's getting medically assessed at the hospital. Whenever she gets released, then we will speak to her regarding the incident.
Now, if you have any information, you are asked to call the Kingsville Crime Stoppers number at 361-592-4636 that is on your screen. Earlier today, City Council voted to rezone parts of the Hillcrest neighborhood. The plan calls for closing 10 public streets, including Sam Rankin, Waco, and Houston, a move that has residents worried about industrial encroachment in their community. Few residents spoke at the meeting due to recent changes in public comment rules.
For the last 30 years, as she would say, they would get up before the city council and speak during the public hearing. And unfortunately, when they changed the rules, they upset people by not giving them clarification of how the rules are set.
Yesterday, residents gathered in Hillcrest to protest the vote. Both rezoning cases passed on first reading. Final approval is still pending. Well, happening nationwide, the Supreme Court is allowing the Trump administration to continue their cuts to the Department of Education. The originally planned mass layoffs of the department was previously blocked by a federal judge, but in a 6-3 vote, the conservative majority court granted an emergency application to block the ruling. When taking office earlier this year, President Trump issued an executive order saying his administration would, quote, take all necessary steps to facilitate the closure of the Department of Education. Well, shifting gears now, we're talking about the latest hot topic in the tropics. Meteorologist Stephanie Lauber is standing by in the Weather Center to update us. And Stephanie, are we going to see or be impacted by something out in the tropics?
Well, you know, whenever there's tropical trouble possible in the Gulf, we keep a very close eye on it. And there isn't anything in the Gulf right now. So let me explain what is going on in the tropics. You see this orange blob behind me. Let's take a closer look. Not a whole lot going on across the rest of the Atlantic Ocean, but there is a batch of thunderstorms right over Florida, the east coast of Florida near Jacksonville, St. Augustine. And so this is a disorganized group of thunderstorms. It's going to be making its way across Florida. And while it's in the Gulf, we could see some kind of development. Very warm water out that way. Now, good news, this is not going to be a direct impact to the coastal bend, but it could be shaking up our beach forecast as we head on into the weekend. And depending on the development, that could even impact how our rain chances could be looking overall as the big weather picture kind of adjusts. But here locally, we're just talking about the heat. It is hot outside with temperatures near 90 degrees across most neighborhoods. I'll tell you how hot it's going to be the rest of the week ahead.
All right, Stephanie, thank you. As flood recovery continues in Central Texas, people in several other states are grappling with new rounds of severe weather. Some face extreme heat and wildfires like the blaze that destroyed the iconic lodge in Arizona on the north rim of the Grand Canyon. Others are recovering from flash floods and slow-moving thunderstorms today. Amy Kiley has more.
Tens of millions of Americans are coping with severe weather or its aftermath today. The Northeast is recovering from overnight floods. New Jersey is under a state of emergency declaration. New York is dealing with subway station flood damage that also affected some train cars. This man seems okay after a rescue in the suburbs, while these drivers chose to turn around in the Bronx. The FAA warns of air travel impacts in New York, Washington, and Boston. In southern Pennsylvania, officials report a number of water rescues. They say Lancaster County got 7 inches of rain in less than 5 hours yesterday. Meteorologists say Maryland and D.C. were in the core threat area overnight. Meanwhile, near the Grand Canyon,
it's just really devastating.
a historic lodge is in ashes due to a rapidly spreading wildfire.
It's taking a big chunk of the park and taking it offline for at least a couple of years.
In Utah, the Monroe fire is burning.
That's a big concern, protecting the structures as we can and keeping the public safe.
And in Central Texas, recovery efforts continue after floods killed more than 100 people.
We have seen the best of humanity. We truly see God's hand at work.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
We are continuing our coverage on the Central Texas floods. Pete Trevino, known for cooking for hundreds of people in times of need, has been cleared to travel to Kerrville to feed those on the ground this weekend. He will be firing up his barbecue pit, also known as Big Bertha, and cooking up hamburgers for those impacted by the floods there in Kerrville and surrounding areas. Trevino and his team partnered up with 5 local bars to raise money for this trip. If you would like to help them feed hundreds of people this weekend, they are taking donations to help cover those food costs. We have that information on our website, KrisTV.com. And the Scripps News Group has organized a fund to help as well. Thanks to the generosity of so many viewers, Scripps has raised over $108,000 for relief efforts. If you would like to donate, scan the QR code on your screen or text flooding to 50155.
I'm Erin Holly, your Port Aransas Neighborhood News reporter. A couple of friends tell me they found a sea turtle trapped in the jetties, and they called Chris 6 News for help. I took these beachgoers' concerns to the Amos Rehabilitation Keep to find out what people should do when coming across a jetty-trapped sea turtle.
Oh my gosh, it's a turtle. I've never seen one up front, so it was kind of exciting but also scary because I didn't know how to help it.
That was Travis Dudley's reaction when he saw a sea turtle trapped in the Padre Island jetties on Sunday. He recently moved here from Comanche, Texas, and wasn't sure what to do.
It was upside down. It was holding its breath kind of whenever the water would wash over. And you could tell it was just very uncomfortable.
Dudley and his friend didn't know about the Sea Turtle Rescue Hotline, but other beachgoers told them to call several rescue groups around the area. The Amos Rehabilitation Keep in Port Aransas responded to their call.
When the water's warm at this time of year is usually when we see our jetty entrapments kind of through the summer.
But I wanted to know why these turtles hang out around the jetties at this time of year.
Well, they're up along the edge of the rocks eating the algae and the different things that are living on the rocks. Different winds or tides or ship wakes can push them over where they'll get stuck down between the granite rocks of the jetty, which is where we often find them stuck in the rocks.
Like Dudley, many people want to step in and help distressed turtles. However, it is illegal to touch a sea turtle under the Endangered Species Act.
Basically, if it's going to be a life or death situation for that turtle, we can deputize people to pick it up, hold on to it for us, and I mean that is legal. There's a Good Samaritan Act as well.
You can only touch a sea turtle if you've spoken to a rescue agency and if they think it's in the best interest of the animal until they get there.
What would you say the biggest lesson you learned in the whole turtle situation was?
Now I know. They gave me a phone number, saved it in my phone, so that way whenever I go out there next time, if I see it, I can instantly have the resources.
Andrew Orgill from the ARC says if you find a jetty-trapped sea turtle, call the number on your screen immediately. In Port Aransas, I'm your Neighborhood News reporter, Erin Holly, Chris 6 News.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. And an update on our Flag for a Flag campaign. The flag retirement ceremony has finally been rescheduled from its original date of June 15th. It'll be held at the Coastal Bend State Veterans Cemetery on Thursday, August 7th at 10 a.m.
Partnering for a cause. I'm Ms. Trevino in Jim Wells County, and I'll show you how the community and Driscoll Children's Hospital are raising money to help children here in South Texas.
This is Veterans in Focus, sponsored by the Heil Law Firm, battling for justice, winning for the community.
In Port Aransas, a group of dedicated volunteers are getting creative to keep a unique museum going. The Ingleside Regional Airport is home to the Maxine Flournoy Third Coast Commemorative Air Force Museum. It moved here from Alice nearly a decade ago. For over 20 years, it's been preserving the powerful stories and sacrifices of American veterans. The museum doesn't receive a dime from state or federal funding, and they rely on donations only.
It's very expensive.
I bet.
This part of the area has to be climate controlled.
They've been hosting fundraisers year-round to make sure they can stick around. Join us tonight at 6 to see why the mission means so much to these volunteers who keep it alive.
I'm Melissa Trevino, your neighborhood news reporter in Jim Wells County. Many gathered at the auction barn to support Driscoll Children's Hospital and their continued efforts to care for children right here in the Coastal Bend. For more than 35 years, the county's 4-H organizations have helped raise money for Driscoll Children's Hospital. The nonprofit hospital helps families around South Texas, including Eddie Signs.
Well, I think it's a blessing. I know it's been a blessing for me.
Years ago, his then 4-year-old son got really sick. Another hospital sent him home, but they wanted a second opinion.
So we went to Driscoll and they found out that he wasn't digesting his food. So if we had just gone home, our son would have died.
He says without Driscoll, many families wouldn't have a place to turn to, especially if they don't have insurance. That's why they depend on the community to keep them going.
We're having our annual Cattlemen's Roundup here at the Gulf Coast Livestock Auction Barn, and we are so excited because all of the kids from the 4-H groups, local community members, ranchers, farmers, all the supporters out here come out.
Whitney Henley is the major gifts officer from Driscoll. She says events like this keeps the hospital running.
Driscoll Children's Hospital is a nonprofit hospital, and we serve a lot of kiddos from this area, and so it's great to get them the care they need.
Over the years, the Cattlemen's Roundup has helped raise more than $4 million. Kenley Carr has been a part of this event for the last 12 years. She says she's proud to be a part of it.
The benefit of this event is truly just being able to have a peace of mind that there is somebody out there who can take care of their child and a community that will back them in the end.
This year, all the money raised will go towards the hospital's critical care transport team. Organizers hope to raise more than $40,000 from the auction. In Jim Wells County, I'm Melissa Trevino, your neighborhood news reporter, Press 6 News.
All right, taking a look at the roadways. It is that time again, 5:13, and we're looking pretty busy on SPID, but boy, are we windy from this camera. Don't want to make you too seasick, so we'll show you the maps now and show you where we're seeing the busiest traffic so far. Still some adjustment as folks approach on 37 to where we interchange with the crosstown, figuring out which lane we need to take to get where we need to go. Downtown's a little busy here on Shoreline, but crosstown's looking pretty good. Even at that interchange with SPID, just a little stop and go, nothing out of the ordinary. And on Staples, you don't start finding the really sluggish movement until you're approaching that intersection at SPID that then carries down to Saratoga. So as you head out, make sure you stay safe and you drive safe. Stick around, I got your forecast next. Hey there, we are looking at the radar here. We're looking at some radar help from the Valley out in Austin, Laredo, up in Houston, or really I should say Del Rio. We are seeing a couple showers out in our more inland and southern neighborhoods because the sea breeze is actually picking up, and that's triggered a few short-lived, I wouldn't even really call them thunderstorms, little popcorn rain cells as we call them, because they pop up, you might hear a quick rumble of thunder, and then they're gone. They really don't even leave much for rain. And before you notice that there is a little shower in the area, poof, it's gone. One went by Kingsville a short moment ago, and that's all she wrote. Rain chances are generally not in favor for the forecast here because things are much drier. We have the influence of high pressure nearby. This is just the heat of the day cooking up a couple of little showers in our southern neighborhoods. So it may also provide a little bit of relief from the heat. Take a look at the temperature in Kingsville. We've dropped to 91, which is better than what we're seeing at Corpus Christi International Airport, which is 92. Factor in that humidity, it feels like 100 degrees out there. 92 in Alice, though, that feels like 106. 101 in San Diego, where the temperature is 95, and we have a little bit less of that humidity versus our neighbors on the coast. Still staying shy of 90, but the humidity, since you're right next to the water, makes it feel like the triple digits. So hot weather is the trend for the rest of this week. We're going to slowly start seeing our afternoons get a little bit hotter, but the humidity really is what amplifies it and makes it feel like a South Texas summer after all. But what are we looking at for the next couple of hours? Not a whole lot. Temperatures are going to slowly wiggle their way back down, kind of like last night, to the lower 80s. Not quite breaking that 80-degree mark until we head into the early morning hours of your hump day, but winds, those will be coming down a little bit too. We'll hang out around 10 miles per hour during most of the early morning hours of your Wednesday, and then we'll pick right back up again after dawn. It's going to be quite a bit breezier on your Wednesday. With that comes a little bit of Saharan dust. You may notice it's a little bit hazy out there. This is not a particularly dense plume of dust, so we're not necessarily feeling major impacts from this. But again, you may feel some stuffiness, some sinusy kind of action going on because there are a few more of those dust particulates in the air. It does help to suppress rainfall too, which kind of works with the weather that we're seeing. And then this is going to swirl up the coast there because we have high pressure directing everything up our coastline. That plays an important role when it comes to the tropics. So right now, high pressure hanging out upstairs. This is about 18,000 feet above our heads, by the way. This is the driving factor for anything tropical that wants to happen. So we're going to be watching the position of this high pressure very carefully over the next couple of days, because since things move clockwise around that big blue H, any development that happens here in the tropics is going to be swept up along the northern Gulf Coast. In fact, I don't like to show the pasta this early in the game, but I think this will help give folks a lot of comfort in knowing that this really is not in play for us here on the Western Gulf. But what could happen is if there's a little more development before this kind of wears itself out, we could see some rough surf as we head on into the weekend. So it's something I'll be monitoring. Will we see Dexter before all is said and done? That remains unknown. But for here locally, we'll talk about the heat over the next couple of days. Check it out, especially for our neighbors in Kingsville. Make sure you're checking in on your health. When we come back, we'll talk more about what you can do to stay ahead of the game.
You're watching Chris 6, part of the Scripps News Group.
About 13 million Americans are estimated to be affected by seasonal depression, but the American Psychiatric Association says some people may also experience it in the summer. Mandy Gaither has more on how the heat can trigger symptoms of mood disorders and how to protect those at high risk.
The heat and humidity may make you a bit grumpy, but for those with underlying mood disorders, the season can amplify symptoms.
The difference between someone who's experiencing sort of normal stress-related response to heat versus something that might be more of a problem really depends on if it persists.
Psychologist Louisa Sylvia with Massachusetts General Hospital says if feelings of irritability, frustration, anger, or stress last for days and begin to impact family, school, or work, that may be a red flag.
Heat can impact serotonin, which is a neurotransmitter in the brain, and already people with mood disorders have a dysfunction in that neurotransmitter. So heat sort of exacerbates or makes mood worse in those folks who have that sort of genetic vulnerability for mood disorder.
Sylvia says if you notice changes in sleep when you're getting less and changes of energy when you're feeling more energetic despite the lack of Z's, those are also red flags to see a doctor.
You need to drink a lot of water to stay hydrated. Also prioritizing your physical health, trying to get out when you can, particularly early in the morning or later at night when it's cooler. Staying cool with air conditioning if you have it, or staying near water if you're capable, or at least trying to stay in the shade and around fans.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
You're watching Chris 6, part of the Scripps News Group.
Welcome back. Dogs have been called man's best friend, but there's another four-legged animal that can arguably share that title. Tuesday is National I Love Horses Day. Horses have been a common thread throughout human history, not only to provide transportation, but they've also cleared fields, moved cattle, and even provided assistance in wars. Horses star in racing with the Kentucky Derby and Crown Jewel event. You can mark National I Love Horses Day by taking a horseback ride or visit some national parks. I love that. But I still love dogs.
That's true, and I do like to watch cute animal videos online where some of the farm dogs are working with some of the horses and they're best buds.
Oh, yes, I love that too.
But hey, if you have some horsies around the area, make sure they're staying cool with this hot weather. And as cool as this photo, Weather Watcher of the Week showing us a beautiful sunset. This was last week when we had some of the dust, so it really amplifies those rosy hues. We love to see it. And maybe you could take some nice photos if you dare to venture outside. That heat is going to be very summerful this week, so make sure you're doing your best to stay cool out there, everybody.
Alrighty, well, thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you here at 6 o'clock. Have a good one.
Bye.